Hi, everybody, and welcome to English for You. I'm Pat.
I'm Chickling.
Okay, and today's article is all about Taiwan's cherry blossoms. Now, often when we think of cherry blossoms, we think of going to Japan to see them, right?
Yeah.
Have you ever done that?
No, I've never been to Japan, but I've actually seen cherry blossoms in Taiwan. When I was really young, I saw them, but there's this park where you can see cherry blossoms near where I live.
Excellent.
Yeah, and I went there this year, but I was too late. The cherry blossoms were gone.
Oh, never mind. I had a cherry tree in my family's garden when we grew up.
Cool.
It was pretty old, and I only remember a few years we actually grew cherries. But it did go that kind of cool pink-white color at the right time of year and made our garden look very pretty, and then it dumped it all on the floor, and we would have to go and sweep up the garden. Sadly, that cherry tree wasn't very healthy, and it ended up having to be cut down. It was a good one to climb, but it was kind of dead and not producing flowers and fruits for several years. But I've never been to Japan to see the cherry blossoms. It's something maybe, I don't know. I think I'd go to Japan for other stuff.
Yeah.
The cherry blossoms is not big on my list. But luckily, we don't have to go to Japan to see cherry blossoms. We can see them right here in Taiwan. And in today's article, we're going to find out exactly where. Let's read through day one.
Reading.
A colorful guide to Taiwan's cherry blossoms. Every spring, a miracle of nature happens in Taiwan. If you're not careful, though, you might not notice it. From January to mid-April, thousands of trees around the country are covered with pretty pink flowers. Although Japan's cherry blossoms might be the most famous, Taiwan's flowers appear for longer because of its different climates. Here are our favorite places on the island to experience these fantastic flowers. Yangmingshan National Park. Yangmingshan often has some of the earliest blooms in Taiwan. Last year, they started appearing in mid-January and lasted until March. Most years, you'll find especially attractive displays along Lane 42 Pingjing Street. Some people say it's one of Taiwan's most romantic spots for cherry blossom viewing. Tianyuan Temple, New Taipei City. Tianyuan Temple is a short drive from Yangmingshan and is popular for its beautiful architecture. The cherry blossoms open a little later in the year here, usually throughout March. Despite blooming later in the season, the trees here attract people with their variety of colors. You'll see light pink, peach, and deep pink petals.
So the article starts by saying, every spring, a miracle of nature happens in Taiwan. The word miracle is used to mean something amazing, something wonderful. Now, it's often used to mean something that's an act of God. If you read the Bible, it talks about Jesus' miracles, so turning water into wine, feeding 5,000 people with a few bits of bread and fish, those kind of miracles. But more casually, we use the word miracle to mean something that's just amazing, something really cool and makes you go, wow. And here's an example sentence where the word is often used. The husband wanted to be in the room when his son was born so he could witness the miracle of childbirth.
Miracle 就是奇迹的意思，它就是个名词，所以我们文章的意思就是大自然的奇迹 ，a miracle of something 就是什么东西的奇迹。所以每年呢，台湾可以看到大自然的奇迹。We can also make this word an adjective， 它就是 miraculous， 就是有奇迹般的神奇的意思。所以可以说 it is miraculous that 怎么样怎么样。那同样的使用刚刚的名词就是 it is a miracle that 怎么样。比如说。It is a miracle that all the passengers survived the accident. 那我们也可以改写变成 It is miraculous that all the passengers survived the accident. So what is this miracle?
Well, first, the article says, if you're not careful, though, you might not notice it.
Okay, I'll explain what it is then. The article says, from January to mid-April, thousands of trees around the country are covered with pretty pink flowers.
Okay, very nice. If something is covered with another thing, then that second thing is all over the first thing, and you can't really see the thing that has been covered. Like if the ground is covered with snow, then you can't really see the ground because there's so much snow on it.
所以 be covered with something 就是覆满了，但是如果你平常没有细心注意啊，你可能不会发现这个大自然的奇迹。那文章的意思就是从1月到4月中的时候，台湾各地好几千棵树都被漂亮的粉红色花朵覆盖住。
So next, the article says, although Japan's cherry blossoms might be the most famous, Taiwan's flowers appear for longer because of its, Taiwan's, different climates. So in this sentence, we feature today's grammar point, which is the use of although. Although is used to present a contrast. It shows how two things are different. And although is often used at the start of a sentence.
所以今天就是文法练功房讲到虽然跟尽管的说法。那么表达这个句型，我们常用 although 跟 though 后面一个主词，再加上一个动词，或者是 despite the fact that or in spite of the fact that 都可以。那我们照几个例子比较清楚。Although 或者是 though the math exam was really difficult, Kelly managed to get the top score. 那虽然数学测验很难哦 Kelly 还是得到了最高分。那么呢，第二个我们用 despite the fact that 来试试看。Despite the fact that his parents hate it when he plays video games, Marcus does it every day. 虽然他的父母讨厌他打电动 Marcus 还是每天都在玩。那 despite 跟 in spite of 可以表达尽管或虽然哦，不过他们是介系词跟介系词片语，后面只可以接名词跟动名词。比如说 Despite meeting all the requirements, Porter still didn't get the job. 虽然 Porter 呢符合工作的所有要求，他还是没有被录取。这边的 meeting 就是动名词哦。
Okay, so we're saying Japan's cherry blossoms are very famous, but Taiwan's appear for longer. And here we use the word blossom, which means a flower or a large mass of flowers. And we mostly use this word for the flowers on a tree or another plant that is still in the ground.
所以这是花朵啊 blossom。 那文章说虽然日本的樱花是大家最熟悉最受欢迎的，不过其实台湾的樱花持续的更久哦，因为有不同的 climate。
Yeah, climate's the important word here. Taiwan's flowers appear for longer because of its different climates. The climate is the general weather patterns of an area over a long period of time. Not just for one day or a few days, we mean the general weather in a season or during the year. So a place might be mostly hot and dry in the summer, mostly cold in the winter, or rainy at some times. Now in Taiwan, depending on where you are, you might get completely different climates. The east coast gets a lot more rain. In the south, it's a lot hotter. Up in the mountains, you would be colder and drier, those kinds of things. For example, we could also say, the UK has a climate that gives it cold, wet winters and warm but wet summers.
那 climate 就是气候，那因为日本、台湾气候不同，樱花持续的时间也不同啊。那么气候变化呢，就是 climate change。那老师刚刚讲到好几种不同气候，干燥的就是 a dry climate， 或者是炎热的 a hot climate， 那严峻的气候 a harsh climate。那我们造一个例句 It's important to know how cacti grow if you want to successfully grow them in cold winter climates. 如果你想要呢，在寒冷的冬天气候成功种植仙人掌，你就要知道它们是怎么生长的。
So next, the article says, here are our favorite places on the island to experience these fantastic flowers. The word fantastic means great, wonderful, amazing.
Fantastic 就是极好的。那今天文章呢，我们就会介绍一些可以观赏到美丽樱花的地方。So, where are these places?
First, we're going to discuss Yangmingshan National Park.
It says Yangmingshan often has some of the earliest blooms in Taiwan.
Blooms also is another word for flowers. It's just another way of talking about the ones we're discussing. Unlike blossom, it doesn't have to be in the ground. You could pick the flowers and they would still be blooms that you give to people.
所以 bloom 就是花朵，它可以当动词跟名词。那当花朵是名词，动词就是开花或绽放的意思。所以阳明山通常是最早开花的地带。And when do these blooms appear?
The article says, last year they started appearing in mid-January and lasted until March.
所以在去年的时候樱花从1月中开始开花，一直延续到3月。And then we see that in the article, most years you'll find especially attractive displays along Lane 42, 平津 Street.
The word especially is used to modify an adjective and make it mean more so than usual. For example, you could be angry or you could be especially angry, meaning really angry. It can modify a verb as well. For example, you could say, I like ice cream, but I especially like coconut ice cream. And here's another example modifying an adjective. Since I missed both lunch and breakfast, I was especially hungry at dinner time.
那 especially 就是特别的，英文很喜欢拿这个字来做补充，比如说 I like you a lot, especially when you call me beautiful.
And that word beautiful leads us to the word attractive, our next vocabulary word. The word attractive basically means the same thing as beautiful. It's nice to look at. We can use attractive to talk about good-looking people or anything that's nice to look at. Buildings, areas, animals, and more. We can also use the word attractive to describe things that sound good, like this is an attractive job or an attractive idea. So here's an example with something more physical. There's a very attractive park just down the road from my house.
所以 attractive 就是很有吸引力的，是个形容词。所以几乎每年呢，我们都可以在平津街42巷，就是俗称的樱花巷，看到很漂亮的樱花哦。那么 attract 就是它的动词啦，也是吸引的意思。比如说 This advertisement aims to attract the attention of housewives， 代表这个广告呢的主旨是在吸引家庭主妇的注意。
So back to Yangmingshan, and we see some people say it's one of Taiwan's most romantic spots for cherry blossom viewing. Maybe this one on Pingjing Lane or whatever it is. So a place that is romantic kind of conveys or gives you an unrealistic yet wonderful view of life. It makes you feel like it's something out of a love story or love movie, not real life. We can also use romantic to mean it communicates feelings of love, of romance. We can describe a person as romantic if they're often thinking about love or if they have wonderful but unrealistic ideas. Another use of this word is to describe a relationship. A romantic relationship is one involving love between two people who aren't family. We could also say, for example, many people consider Paris to be a romantic city.
Romantic 就是有浪漫情调的，也可以拿来当名词，老师有提到，拿来形容满脑子都是浪漫想法的人，或者是浪漫主义者。那么 romance 就是它的名词，就是爱情故事跟浪漫的意思。那也可以当动词哦，就是把一件事情形容的很好，夸大或者是追求的意思。但追求是比较 old-fashioned。那我们看一下一个例句 ：There was an air of romance about the way he talks， 代表他讲话有一种很浪漫的感觉。那么文章就说了，有些人觉得这是台湾看樱花最浪漫的地方哦。And the next place we'll talk about is Tianyuan Temple, New Taipei City.
And what can we say about it? Well, Tianyuan Temple is a short drive from Yangmingshan, and is popular for its beautiful architecture. If something is popular for something, this is the reason that it's popular. It's the thing that makes it popular.
所以 be popular for something 就是以什么东西受到欢迎。那天元宫离阳明山很近，这边看到 a short drive 就是一小段车程的意思。And is popular for its beautiful architecture 因为它很漂亮的 architecture 受到欢迎哦。What does this word mean?
Architecture is the features of a building. It's the way it's built, the way it looks, and the way all of its features kind of contribute to the overall use and appearance of the building. If a place has beautiful architecture, it means the building is very nice to look at.
所以 architecture 就是建筑物啊，建筑风格。那天元宫因为很漂亮的建筑物，所以很受欢迎。
We also learn that the cherry blossoms open a little later in the year here, usually throughout March. The word throughout means all through something, covering every part of it, either in time or in distance. If you say you can find convenience stores throughout the country, we mean they're in every city, every town, they're everywhere. Throughout March means all through March, so pretty much every day from the start to the end. We could also say, it rained throughout the week, so we mostly stayed inside.
Throughout 就是在整个期间，它是一个 preposition， 从头到尾的意思。那文章呢，指的就是通常整个3月期间都有樱花。那在天元宫这边的樱花算是比较晚开的。那老师刚刚提到很多例句，我再讲几个，比如说一整天 throughout the day， 遍布全国、全球 throughout the country, throughout the world 都可以。那我们造一个例句。His family backed him up throughout the court case. 在整个法庭案件中呢，他的家人都是支持他的。So what makes these cherry blossoms special?
The article says, despite blooming later in the season, and there's bloom as a verb, despite blooming later in the season, the trees here attract people with their variety of colours. Now, in that sentence, we're using the word despite, which we kind of covered earlier, and it indicates contrast, like although.
所以这边又看到今天讲到文法练功坊 despite 的用法，不过注意后面接名词跟动名词而已哦。那文章说尽管开花开得比较晚，这里的樱花因为缤纷的颜色很吸引大家。
And the first part of today's article finishes by talking about the colours of flowers people can see at Tianyuan Temple. It says, you'll see light pink, peach, and deep pink petals. Petals are the flower parts of the flower, really. It's the colourful outside parts, not the centre, the kind of dark bit in the petals, and it's not the green bits like the leaves and the stem. It's the bit we think of when we think about flowers.
Yeah, 所以 petal 就是花瓣。那你可以看到浅粉红啊、桃红色或深粉红色的花瓣 ，very beautiful.
And we'll discuss a few more places to see cherry blossoms in Taiwan on day 2 of the article. But for now, let's go to today's For You chat question.
For You chat.
So, our question for today is, which natural place in Taiwan do you think is the most beautiful, and why? Well, that's a tough one. We've got, Taiwan, Formosa, the beautiful island.
Yeah.
Everywhere's beautiful. But what's the number one for you?
I'm trying to think. Oh, the Taroko Gorge. Have you been there?
Yeah, I was thinking of that as well.
I've been there so many times, and my dad likes to drive us there and then just drive along the way to see the gorge. It's magnificent. I love it. I think it's the most beautiful.
Yeah, it's definitely a place you could
one of the most beautiful.
Spend a lot of time. And there's so many different areas there, like the rocks on the side of the walls with their kind of different colours running through them, the river. I remember going up a trail there once until until I felt like I was like right on top of the world.
Oh, yeah.
Like I was high up, like nothing else was above me. It was somewhere near the top of it. I don't think you can even get there now, but that gave a very different kind of beauty to it.
Yeah.
Sun Moon Lake is pretty beautiful.
Yeah.
On a nice clear day, you can't deny that that's a stunning place to look at.
Yeah.
Just going up and down the East Coast, really.
Yeah.
Just whenever you drive, because you've got like the ocean on one side and these beautiful green-covered cliff walls on the other side. It's like there's only a tiny little area between the sea and the mountains. So, yeah, it's always lively. It's never too... I mean, some of the roads get a bit busy, but as soon as you get off those roads, it's just like pure nature.
Yeah.
Or looking down, if you're in, I think it's called the East Rift Valley. Like it's sort of between like kind of Taidong and then a bit further more inland. There's like two sets of mountains and there's like a valley in between where there's a lot of tea growing and rice growing.
花东纵谷, are you saying that?
I think that might be it. I don't know the Chinese name, but we walked up a mountain in Dulan.
Okay.
And we looked down and you could kind of see there's the valley there. You can see a load of it.
I think that's what you're talking about. Yeah.
Right. That was a very attractive place. And we haven't even scratched the surface there. We have not talked about, I've never been to Orchid Island.
Okay.
I've not been to Penghu.
Me either.
But I'm told these are very beautiful, lovely places to go and see.
Yeah.
I've never been up like Yushan or
haven't
seen sort of those mountains with snow on.
Yeah.
So, yeah, there's so much more to see every time.
Yeah.
Including cherry blossoms. We've picked out a couple of places and we have a few more tomorrow. So join us then for part 2 of our article. See you then. Bye for now.
Bye.
A colorful guide to Taiwan's cherry blossoms. Every spring, a miracle of nature happens in Taiwan. If you're not careful, though, you might not notice it. From January to mid-April, thousands of trees around the country are covered with pretty pink flowers. Although Japan's cherry blossoms might be the most famous, Taiwan's flowers appear for longer because of its different climates. Here are our favorite places on the island to experience these fantastic flowers. Yangmingshan National Park. Yangmingshan often has some of the earliest blooms in Taiwan. Last year, they started appearing in mid-January and lasted until March. Most years, you'll find especially attractive displays along Lane 42 Pingjing Street. Some people say it's one of Taiwan's most romantic spots for cherry blossom viewing. Tianyuan Temple, New Taipei City. Tianyuan Temple is a short drive from Yangmingshan and is popular for its beautiful architecture. The cherry blossoms open a little later in the year here, usually throughout March. Despite blooming later in the season, the trees here attract people with their variety of colors. You'll see light pink, peach, and deep pink petals.
Vocabulary Review.
Miracle. Doctors thought it was a miracle that Kathy recovered from this serious disease. Climate. This country has a desert climate, so it's dry all year round. Especially. It's Larry's birthday, and he's especially happy because his girlfriend is taking him to his favorite restaurant. Attractive. The town has many attractive sights that visitors like to take pictures of. Romantic. Tommy put candles on the table and played soft music so he could enjoy a romantic dinner with Tina. Throughout. Gary sounded sick, and he was coughing throughout the day.
智慧小补帖
Blossom. Fantastic. Bloom. Architecture. pedal.
以上节目是由活用空中美语制作。活用空中美语杂志，请洽询全国各大书店。如欲索取试听教材，请来电02-2364-4000 02-2364-4000，或上网查询，网址是 www.english4u.net www.english4u.net